Amanda here from DMG, and here I am again with another guide, and this is the Bloodborne Old Hunters Guide. So basically it's the collector's edition, it's called, and it's basically for the DLC of Bloodborne. And what they've also done, as from looking at it, because I finally finished Bloodborne, 300 hours in, I finally finished Bloodborne, and looking at this, from what I can see of it, it's also telling you any additions and corrections and changes made to the main game as well as the actual DLC. So let's take a look at the book as we have with all the others. So first of all, hardback. Obviously nowhere near as thick as the originals and a lot of the others. This is obviously an add-on to the main book, so it's unusual, they say in the foreword, for them to do that, but they felt with Bloodborne that it was something that they would like to do, and it felt necessary. So there is, as I say, the introduction. Here's our chapter overview. And again, as always with these, we've got some beautiful artwork. The pages, same sort of good quality, lovely coating, and chapter 1 training manual. So this is looking at how to play the game, but it's also telling you what's new. So as I said, you know, so things have changed in the original game, as well as what's new that they've added into the sort of mechanic wise to the DLC. So they're showing, you know, obviously the new areas, how to get into that, and system mechanics and updates, etc. Chalice dungeons, multiplayer, so lots and lots of information. The extra arsenal and attire, so weapons, etc. Different things there that I don't particularly need to give any spoilers away for. Weapon analysis, so the different weapons that you can get now and the analysis of those. And then it's, as I say, not as big as the main game, so it's a much smaller chapter. So then we go on to the hunting grounds. This is basically like the walkthrough of your areas. So this about the chapter again, they do a chapter analysis of how to actually use the book, which I always find useful, like what's on the maps and what do the different icons mean, etc. So that's always helpful. So then we get into the actual DLC new areas. So again, I don't want to give too much away on that, but as before, we've got a map, we've got what's there, what enemies are there, sort of how you can walk through that, etc, etc. This particular chapter goes all the way to here. As I said, I don't want to put any spoilers out there, so I'm just literally flicking through the first map here, Hunter's Nightmare. It's not really telling you anything, so I'm just showing you that it goes into quite a lot of detail, and you've got photographs and lots and lots of information. So again, as I said, I don't want to go into detail. That chapter goes all the way to there, and then we have your bestiary or bestiary, I never know how you say that. And so that again, it goes into, as before, all the beasts. So again, we have first of all about the chapter, different categories of beast, the enemy data, the bosses, the items that they drop, returning enemies, and then we have data on those enemies, and then we go into the actual enemies themselves. Now obviously the name of the DLC is the Old Hunters, so you know there's going to be some hunters, so I don't think I'm giving any spoilers away too much here. This is like your heading Old Hunters, so this is like your main kind of general kind of information. Then we get into the specific hunters. So here then we have a lot more information about that particular hunter, and about him, strategy to get rid of him, and statistics on him. So again, I don't want to do anything that's going to be spoilery on this. So this chapter is going all the way to here, but you've got, again, you've got your normal, enemies, your regular enemies they call them. Then you've got your strong enemies, and then I believe it just goes straight into bosses. Again, I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to show you anything there. So that is all the way to here, which is your arsenal and attire. So I don't want to show anything too much because this is a smaller area than the main game. It isn't, obviously, it's still quite a big DLC to say the least, but I don't, with the main game, when I showed you like the first map or the first boss or a first beast or whatever in the book, just to show you how it was laid out, it didn't really give much away because there were so many others. But this one there's obviously less of, and I don't want to give anything away too much, so I'm trying to be really careful with that. So I'm trying to give you an idea of the book, but I'm also trying to be careful not to do any spoilers. So now we have arsenal and attire, and obviously that's just, you know, what they wear and what the weapons are. And that one is again quite a big chapter that goes all the way to here. Again, we've got about the chapter here. This one's just got one page about the chapter, and then we start off with weapons. There are new weapons in the DLC as to the main game. Now, when I was playing Bloodborne, I actually had the DLC at the same time, and so I opened up the DLC kind of at the point that I was saying, you know, you need to be of a certain level. I think it's something like 80 or something to be realistic to be able to work in the DLC. So I incorporated the DLC pretty much as part of my main game. I dipped into that as much as I was doing the main game, and I literally finished both parts at exactly the same time. The point is that I tried to make it work together, so I was using some of these extra weapons in the main game as well as using the main game's weapons in the DLC. So I kind of liked playing it like that rather than playing all of Bloodborne main game and then playing the DLC. I think it worked really well together. It was very seamless in that regard. So as I say, we've got here one of the new weapons, I believe, and it, again, as before, it shows you a picture, it gives you all the statistics, it gives you information about it, and then it has another couple of pages just telling you information about the attack modes, transferred attack modes, etc. And then it goes on to even more, which again, I don't want to spoil them by showing you too many things. So then we've got different, then we've got left-hand weapons here, which again, I don't want to spoil too much. Similar idea and similar things. And then it talks about healing items, new attack items, and multiplayer items that are new. And then we've got new arcane stuff. Then we've got new key items. And again, I'm just trying to, it just sets them out, what they are, about them, and a little picture. And then we've got badges, carol runes, oath runes, and then we've got, I can't turn the page, then we've got gestures, attire, so new outfits and attires that you can get. And again, just as before, setting out exactly what that is, about it, and the statistics. And then Hunter's Appendices. Learning about the characters that inhabit the old hunters will provide you with new perspective on the story. Sometimes small details are the ones that really matter, and this chapter is full of them. You'll find complete shop lists, trophy guides, and much more. So as it says, we have, she says, it's really hard to open pages on these. So we've got all about different new NPCs. Again, I don't want to go too much into that. It's the same kind of layout of what they are, the statistics, etc. Then you've got about, because they've made some changes which obviously I had from the beginning, because by the time I started playing the game had been out for years. So it's talking about the different NPCs that you can summon and how. And then it's just talking about the same thing but in the Chalice dungeons. And then about the shops and what stuff's in those shops. And then the trophy guide. And then the story of Yharnam and the overall story connection. So it's like a whole kind of chart, flow chart, so that's the word I was looking for. And then the Byrgenwerth lore, Byrgenwerth connections, Healing Church lore. So lots of lore on stuff there. Again, I don't want any spoilers, so I just go through it. And then about some characters, and this is just artwork, which is really cool. Which again I didn't actually realise was there, and then an index at the back. So that is it. That is the Old Hunters, Bloodborne Old Hunters Guide. As I said, a much smaller book, but still equally full of information, equal quality from the point of view of actually how it's made. It feels really nice. Considering this is second hand as well, it's in really good condition. I'm really pleased with it. And yeah, as far as I can see from what I've looked at so far, it seems reasonably accurate. I guess with anything, the game is updated, things change, so there will always be things that aren't 100% correct anymore, especially after all this time. This was obviously done at the time of the DLC, which would have been, you know, a couple of years back now. So, you know, it's possible in that time there's been updates, and so things may have changed a little. But on the whole, it seems reasonably accurate. And the main parts of it, you know, about the characters and the maps and whatnot, they're gonna probably not change massively anyway. Okay, so that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.